Do you maintain a double standard in your life? If you don't yet, perhaps you should think about starting to. Double standards get a bad rap, and generally most of them deserve it. In this week's Bite of Judaism, we get to know the one double standard that will make your life richer. A meaningful life is built on commitment and purpose. It is healthy to be aware of the strengths that God has given us, and our awareness of these strengths can help us make the most of them. If instead of flaunting them, we recognize them as gifts that are part of a bigger picture, we can use them humbly to make the world a better place and to make our lives rich and fulfilling. That being said, there is a time and a place to stand proud and flaunt our strengths. Yaakov, the third of Judaism's patriarchs, was competent and achieved great things. All of his achievements were built on a foundation of total commitment and devotion to his purpose. In last week's Torah portion, we read about the enormous collection of sheep that made him very wealthy. And while he did eventually diversify, his wealth was always based on sheep. Sheep are known to be mindless followers. And while Yaakov was far from mindless, the sheep, as the foundation of his wealth, represent the fact that his life was built on extraordinary commitment to his purpose. In this week's Torah portion, we continue Yaakov's story, reading about the messengers he sent to his brother Esau. Esau stood against Yaakov and his mission to uplift the world. And in his message to him, Yaakov mentioned his wealth, but instead of emphasizing his fortune in sheep, which represented his devotion, he opened up the message emphasizing the bulls and other strong independent animals that he owned, animals that represented his strength and his intent to stand proudly and firmly for what he knew to be true. In his personal life, Yaakov lived with humility and devotion. But when something stood in the way of the truth, his strength and competence rose up and took center stage, and his humility hid in the background. Like Yaakov, we too can live with a double standard. One standard in our personal lives, and a different one when standing up to challenges. The more our personal lives are lived with humility, built on a foundation of commitment and purpose, the richer and more rewarding they will be. And if at times that commitment requires that we stand strong and assert ourselves proudly and boldly, then in those moments there is no greater devotion or humility than showing strength and competence and pride in what we stand for.